All right, good morning, everyone. Let's get it started with where we left off. For the people who have just joined this series of workshops, this is the third one. And my name is Hamid. I am a 2011 graduate of TMU, and it's my honor to share these workshops with you. So where we left off yesterday was the last spot or last sheet of our Excel sheet. So let's start where we left off. I would appreciate it if you can, a couple of you guys tell me whether you can see my Excel sheet full screen. Okay, perfect, Kim. Thank you. All right, let's go. What do we have here? Again, this is the Excel training intermediate level. We just left the um, one sheet for today, and then we're going to use some of the um, techniques here for our advanced session today as well. So let's finish this off first. What do we have here? The topic introduces transpose for changing data orientation and conditional formatting for visually highlighting cells based on rules. So, first of all, what is transpose? Um, Transpose is essentially when you have a matrix right here, let's say I have math, science, and English, and I have all these grades, right? If I switch rows and columns, we call that a transpose. In linear algebra, I'm sure if you've taken it or if you are taking it in future, if you've taken it in the past, you've been introduced to this concept. Essentially, it's rotating everything 90 degrees, so you're changing rows with columns. Okay, so. Um, So first thing first, we are trying to do flip rows into columns and columns into rows. So select the original table and use transpose to paste it vertically. Rows become columns. So I have these ones, right? And I want to transpose them. So as usual, we start with equal sign because it's a formula. And then I would just write transpose here, okay? When I'm in the middle of writing it, if it has um, almost finished the command that I'm interested in, I would just hit tab. But in this case, I don't want translate, so I want transpose. So because both of my hands, remember, it's on the keyboard, I can come down one arrow key and then hit tab. So that way I don't have to type the entire command or formula. And this helps with your speed in typing accurate formulas. So as usual, if you hover over it and click on it, it will bring up help, which has a thorough explanation of what this function does. And at the same time, there is a hint for you that it's expecting an array from you. So I want all of this, right? And as usual, I have three options. I can close parentheses, I can hit tab, or I can enter. Any of those three will conclude this, and that's essentially how we have it here. So take a look at it. This column became a row, and same thing. This column became a row, and then this column became a row, and then this column became a row. Okay. So are we doing next? So something that is extremely helpful in Excel is conditional formatting. And I wanted to remind you something. Um, Most of the practices that we've had here is just like 2, 3 rows. And
Yeah.
so
Hi.
uh, Alishba, I think your microphone is on. So most of the practices that we have in this tutorial is only 2, 3 rows. But in real life, even if you are doing very easy assignments, it's usually more than 10, 20 rows, and often it's in hundreds of rows. So when you are sometimes with the thing that we do here, it seems like, hey, I can see it. Why do I need to I spent so much time learning how to do, let's say, conditional formatting here. But of course, when you have 100 lines or 2,000 lines, it's not that clear to you. So we, of course, kept it very simple, just so that it's not complicated for you guys to see this for a tutorial. But in future, you will see the benefit of all these functionalities, especially this conditional formatting. So for conditional formatting, you go to home, and then there is a conditional formatting here. And I want to apply conditional formatting to highlight all scores below 60 in red, right? I want below 60, right? So I want less than, and then I first have to essentially select it. Then I need to go highlight cells rules, and then I can just simply say less than. Okay. Now, if I say 60, if I see 60, um, nothing happens. Can you tell me why nothing happens? In the chat, all greater than 60. Yeah, Jackie is like, hey, everything that you have is greater than 60. So nothing happens. So yeah, nothing happens. If I just simply say, I don't know, 75, it will capture that. Okay. So if I hit enter, this thing remains as is. So this actually shows up as a red for me. Um, I actually use this quite often just to see where I have some red flags in terms of in my data, where do I have some anomalies that needs my attention. So this is a very good one for you um, to handle. Like, let's say if you have a product review and everything is in like 60, 70s, and then you have a product review of like 2 or 3. So you just need to pay attention to why that review has come to that small number. Or if you have I have classes with a lot of students. I wanted to know if there are many students who are receiving very low grades or very high grades in a rather challenging examination. All right, so that's how you apply it. Now, this is the beauty of this, is that this is dynamic, right? So if I just do 60 here, um, the conditional formatting is stuck to that range that you have selected. So if you change it in any way or form, it reflects the conditional formatting that you've put on it, and that's something that it's very useful, because of course you don't want to reapply the conditional formatting every single time you're changing something in your data. And sometimes at work or in a school or wherever that you're dealing with Excel, people send you a template Excel. meaning that they have a lot of these functionalities, a lot of these filters already applied to it. So that when you're filling up your application or filling up your information, it just automatically it will automatically show up. All right. Um, Good question. We have bunch of different things, Kim, that I'm going to go over. Um, you can change the color scheme. You can change the color scheme, and that's essentially allows you to, have some rough idea of how. Um, let's say if I do green, yellow, red, the highest would be green and the lowest would be red. So this is also a really good way for you to pick on the highest and lowest values. Now, Kim mentioned that, hey, if you have less than, um, let's say I have 77.5 or like, let's say 50, or something else. Let's just say um, less than. I can essentially change the colors here, and that allows me to, sometimes you don't want to call it red because perhaps it has a negative connotation. So maybe you wanted to change it to green or yellow, for giving you a notification on like, hey, I have this issue with my data. Okay. With that, your 1 minute starts. No problem, Kim. Your 2 minutes starts. Please do this for this one. Let me know when you're done. Also use try to play with the people who are done. Try to play with color skills as well. This is like a very fast and quick way for you to get a sense of how your data looks like. Great, Kathleen. Great work, Ditya. So just to refresh, if the people are still looking at this or are wanting to do it, you just say transpose. You just say transpose, and then you select all the rows and columns that you want to select, and then you hit OK. And then you select it. Um, You can select all the values, then go to conditional formatting. Then you can just go less than, as this question asks, and say, let's say less than 70, and then these are the ones that shows up. And just for showing Kim how to do it with the other color. So you can just change it here, and then you can just highlight it with yellow or whatever that you like. Okay. Any questions on this before we move on? Do you need more time to do this? Okay. Okay. Dominique is saying that how did you do the color? This show how to get the other colors. Of course, of course. So take a look at this. So this has nothing to do with transpose or anything. Um, I don't know, Aditya, what do you mean by other colors? Do you mean here or there? But I will explain both. So for getting a very quick profile of all your data is sitting here. So if you want to get a quick profile of your data, so you just need to select the one that you like. So this is the gradient of green color with higher intensity for higher numbers, lower intensity for lower numbers. And then, for example, this one is for, higher numbers be green, and then middle would be orangish, and then very low numbers will be red. So that's that. But if you want that conditional formatting to be less than, for example, something, you can actually come here. If you don't like red for whatever reason, you can actually change the color here. And then of course you have, if you click on this, then sky is the limit, as like I want it to be bold, and apply some border, fill with some weird color, and that's pretty much it. So you see how it's filled up with this weird violet color, and then I also applied formatting, so I made it bold, and I also have a border around each cell. And that's something that you can do. But of course, you can just do a easy, you can just select from this so that you get something that is pretty standard. Okay. You don't want to come up with something very weird. You just go with the standard option so that it's easy on everybody's eyes. You don't want it to um, make the one who is marking or looking at your Excel to be shocked at the formatting that you've applied. All right. Any questions before we move on? All right. All right, so that concludes this one. I'm hoping that the person who asked this question yesterday, because we had another facilitator who came in to discuss some other matters with you. And then somebody asked me, hey, did you have to do all of this one by one? And I mentioned that I'm going to talk about it next day. So today is that next day. So when you don't have to do it column by cell by cell, you can select all the things that you like. And by the way, if you want, if you want, um, cells that are not close to each other or connected to each other, you can hold Control and then select that one as well, right? So if I want this, this, and this, then I just hold Control and I can select all of them. And I can go to text to column. Um, so in this one, it doesn't want you to do this, but I can just do text to column, um, and then do it that way. So that's the answer to that person who asked me that question yesterday at the very end of the class. Okay, so you don't have to do it one by one. You can just select all of them and then go to text to columns. All right. Any questions? No. All righty. Okay, so let's start our advanced level tutorial. Of course, the way that we've gone over these materials is that we surveyed a lot of your professors, and that's how we actually put different topics um, in different workshops. So advanced is just essentially it also has to do with uh, how rare, for example, some of this functionality is needed. So you can see how we put different contexts into different days. So today, what we're going to do is to do VLOOKUP. And we're going to do also a edge lookup or horizontal lookup. So what that does is that searches vertically in the first column. Example would be VLOOKUP of 101, and then all of this uh, parameters, which we're going to go over them. Okay, so you're asking me, hey, where is that useful? I can just see it everywhere. So for example, if I have 1,000 employees, and I wanted to just look for the score, or I have 1,000 students, and I wanted to look for this for a student with the ID of XYZ. I want to know what that person received. I can just do VLOOKUP. So how can I do that? All right. So I can just say VLOOKUP. Okay, so this is just for having a heading. It has nothing to do with it, just text. But I can have VLOOKUP. Okay. Um, uh, Abiha, I was just saying it's just for um, for um, for just a heading. This is not a formula. Just a heading like a score. Okay. So for an actual formula, of course, there's nothing that you shouldn't, there's no formula that you can apply without an equal sign. So you must have an equal sign. So we look up. Okay, look up value. So what are we looking for? So let's say you have 1,000 or like 1,000,000 rows, and then you're looking for ID 102, for example, right? So we happen to have 102 here. So that's what I picked it, but we can be anything within that. You want table array, all right? So this is the table array, meaning that everything within that table. And then it says, hey, what are you looking for? Okay. 1 second. Okay. So you see, okay. So the table array is this one. Very nice. And then column index is next. By the way, did you guys notice what happened? I was, when I was um, entering comma, I was doing it twice, and that's why it was picking the column index for me. So it was just a mistake with me typing comma multiple times. So just don't. If you did it by mistake, you just can come back and then apply what you're looking for. So I'm going to apply this. Then it asks for column index. Okay. Now let's take a look. Logically, what do you think the column index is? So I'm interested in looking at or figuring out a student with ID 102. What is the score of that person? What do you think the column index is? You can use chat too. So Kim is like, hey, I can count from here, but let's say this is first column, this is second column, and this is third column. So maybe two. So if I say two, okay, let's just keep it at two. And remember, I want a score, okay? So let's just keep it there. And I want exact match. So I don't want any approximation. So I want exact match. So that's why I'm going to say false. Okay. So let's just hit false. Um, Unfortunately, I got Bob. Do you know why? I wasn't looking for Bob. Maybe in another scenario, I'm looking for the name of the person associated with the ID, but Now I don't. So Fitz and Kim both are saying that, hey, why don't you say 3? Because you were looking for a score, right? So you were looking for a score. So a score is first column, second column, third column. So a score is the third column. So most likely you want the third column. That's correct. Okay. So essentially what it means is that you are saying what you're looking for. So let's say in this case, I want the person with the idea of 102, but I wasn't looking for the person. I was looking for the grade that person received. That's why I picked the third column. Any questions? Guys, please help Sakrish. I don't know how. Like, what do you guys think? Why is that giving Sakrish a problem? I'm giving you a hint. A space is not an issue for now. Usually, a space is not something that may, oh, very nice. Navia is giving the correct answer. Navia is saying that your order needs to be changed. Arguments are in the wrong order. Nick is correct as well. Very nice. Arda is also correct. Arda is saying that, hey, 102 goes before the range, and that's correct. So take a look at this first. And then, of course, guys, nobody's expecting you to memorize any of that, right? So the moment that you're typing in, it is telling you what to do, right? And you need to pay attention to this because, again, nobody's expecting you to memorize this. So first it says, I am interested about the lookup value. So don't give me range if I'm asking you to give me lookup value. So that's why you need to give it the value first. All right. Don't forget the comma. So yeah, so the last one also requires a comma. Okay. So Arda is very um, precise in the answer. Okay, so let's just move on. Use the edge lookup with the transpose table. What's the last thing we put? Um, do you mean this one? Uh, this one? Range lookup? Yeah, so essentially what it means here is that are you interested about something that looks like 102 or it's an approximation for the value that you're looking for, or are you looking for the exact match? Okay. Um, Most of the time we are looking for exact match unless you're looking for uh, you're looking for something that I cannot think of it right now, but maybe you want it to be vague to pick something that starts with something or ends with something. But most of the time, you're looking for an exact match. So that's why I pick false for that, so that I can get an exact match. Okay, Johanna. All right. So. Um, Hasni, I just explained that. So, because I want the exact match, right? So take a look at this. A 102, I want 102. I don't want anything else. I don't want Excel to look for any other number but 102. If there's anything else, I'm not interested. So I want exact match. So when I'm going here, it asks me to for the lookup. It asks me to whether I want an approximate match, meaning that an approximate to that 102 would be of my interest, or am I looking for 102 specifically? And since I'm looking for that exact match, I use false. All right. And then the explanation is also here, approximate match. The values in the first column of the table array must be sorted in the ascending order, and then false lookup will only find an exact match, and that's exactly what I want. Okay, so let's move on to horizontal lookup. No problem. Horizontal lookup, it asks us to do a transpose first, okay? So let's just do a transpose and then go from there. So transpose, if you remember, it's just transpose, okay? And then the array that it's there, okay? All right, and you can see that this beautifully just switch all the rows with IDs, rows with columns, and columns with rows. Um, uh, I think I think the recording will be available later, as Deidre mentioned. Um, uh, it will be available later. So for transpose, we did the transpose, but horizontal lookup is the same thing, but it's in the with the horizontal direction, not vertical direction. Okay, so I'm just going to say horizontal lookup, just so that we have a heading. So I can have a horizontal lookup, lookup value. Let's say, um, you know what I want. I'm looking for Alice. Okay. My table array is this. Now, guys, I'm looking for Alex's score. What do you think I should put for row index? Kim is saying, I'm looking for the score of Alice. Kim is saying 2. Kim is saying 3. Desmeet is saying 3. Nargis is saying 2. Hosty says 3. Aviha 2. Alex 3. 2. Okay. Mhm. 3. Okay. So let's just do 3. And then I want to look for the exact match. Okay. So let's take a look. Why is it doing this one? Let's see. Um, okay. Let me see why it's uh, so this thing works well if you're looking for that number. So if I'm looking for that 101, and then I select my table row, and always, guys, the answer that I was looking for was of course a 3, because the rows, it starts from top, so it's 1, 2, 3. That was the uh, answer that I was looking for. But again, it's always like this, that when you're looking for an index, um, you are essentially counting from the 1, not from 0. So it's just 1, 2, 3. Now, the only thing that I wanted to do right now is something I wanted to double check something before um, I wanted to actually be Alice. So I wanted to look for um, okay. So I wanted to look for Alice. Alice. Okay. Um, Table range, and then and this would be three. Um, um, I don't know why it's doing that. Let's do this. Hmm. I don't know why. Hmm. Yeah, it looks for whatever reason. I will look for it while we're doing some experiments to see why it's doing that. I actually did remove that, Alex. So I was saying Alice. I cannot remove that. I don't, it shouldn't work with this because it's a text, so you need to put in quotation. But anyways, so for now, let's just stick with that, and then I will take a look at it. So for example, if I'm looking for 101, if I'm looking for the value of 101 and range is this, and I'm looking for the score, so I'm putting 3 and then false at the very end, and then it will give me the 85. Okay, so why don't you guys do the exact same thing for VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, um, and we'll go from there. All right, so just 1 minute or 2 minutes. Of course. Um, Perfect. Um, Aditya, can you share what your formula is so that everybody can take a look and tell you why it's wrong? So yours is correct. I don't think including the actual false is an issue here. Um, are you sure that you've done the transpose correctly, Aditya? Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, are you selecting 101 because the student exercise doesn't have 101? The student exercise. Yeah, just do, you're asking, you're actually answering, Aditya. So just, yeah, so just do 104 or 105. Good catch, Desmeet. Yeah, just do like, let's just do as what Desmeet was saying. So use 104, for example. Okay. All right. So I wanted to, before we move on, I wanted to do something else. I think what happens here is that it actually only looks up it only looks for the very first row, and that's the reason that we couldn't get it last time. So if I do HLOOKUP for lookup value of Alice and table array being this, and I'm looking for the score, which is 2, and then do false for that, it gives him back the answer. Okay, so let me clarify something. Do you guys remember that I was looking for Alice's a score here? That's wrong. That's not how HLOOKUP can retrieve that information for me. Horizontal lookup only looks at the very first row, right? It only looks at the very first row. Same thing with vertical lookup. It only looks at the first column. So if you're using horizontal lookup, make sure that the thing that you're looking for, the thing that you are exactly the thing that you're looking for is in the first row. If the thing that you're looking for is not in the first row, then it's not going to work. So here, I just changed the look of the table so that the thing that I'm looking for is in the first row, and it worked perfectly. Look, I'm looking for Alice, and then this is my range, and I'm looking for the score of Alice. The scores are happening in the second row. That's why I put second here, and then false for doing the exact match. Okay, so um, that's interesting. Is your transpose actually at G10? Oh, it worked now? Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Just for the sake of completeness, let's just do here. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Oh, that's a period after 3? Oh, I couldn't see it. Um, uh, Aditya, good eyes. All right, so let's just do a VLOOKUP here for the sake of completeness, a VLOOKUP. Actually, I have it up there, so I don't need it. So I can just do VLOOKUP. Lookup value, as I said before, it only can be one of these values, right? So if from the first column. So VLOOKUP looks at the first column. Horizontal lookup only looks at the first row. So I would just do 106. Table array will be like this. Column index would be, let's say I'm looking for a score, so 1, 2, 3. And I want exact match, so 92 it is. And then I'm going to do transpose here, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a horizontal lookup. I want name of 106. So I want 106, for example, row index. I want name. What is the row index, people? I want the name of the person with 106. Very nice. Everybody's saying 2. So false. And Frank it is. Any questions? So make sure that for horizontal lookup, you make sure that the thing that you're looking up, that you're looking for is in the first column. And for vertical, make sure that the thing that you're looking for is exactly in the very first column, okay? Why there's a false at the end? Because I'm looking for the exact match, Desmeet, okay? Meaning that I just want the Excel to look for 106 and nothing else. Okay, so I'm looking for the 106 exactly. Okay, so that's that. And then again, that's made you don't need to memorize this. When you are hovering over it here, it actually tells you I'm looking. If you're looking for exact match, you need to just go for false. Of course, I can do transpose again. So I just do transpose. All right, you need to write the word transpose. Hit tab to make it available for you, and select everything that you want, and then hit enter. Is that good, Abiha? Of course. Let's look at okay. Ditya, what are you looking for? Which idea are you looking for example? Are you looking for 106, 105, or 104? Which one would you like? VLOOKUP 106. You're looking for a person who has the idea of 106. What attribute of the person are you interested in? Are you interested in about the name of the person or the score of the person? Name. Okay. So first, let's pick our table. So table is already picked. Now tell me the name. Is it in the first column, second column, or third column? The name that you're interested in. Second column. Okay. Now tell me, are you looking for 106 exactly, or are you or any approximation would do the job as well for you? Are you looking for exact match, Ditya? Perfect. So I'm just going to pick false. So you got Frank. Make sense? Awesome, Ditya. Any other questions? Any other questions?
No, all
Okay.
good.
Okay. One thing that I want you to always remember, horizontal lookup, you need the thing that you're looking for needs to be in the first row. Vertical lookup, the thing that you're looking for needs to be in the first column. Okay. And that's something that you need to remember. Okay. Um, Actually, I'm curious. I'm curious to see if you can actually remember or somewhere here it's been written. I'm sure it has to be written somewhere that it must be in the first column. Let's see. So each lookup value required, the value to be found in there you go, people. It's exactly explicitly mentioned that the value to be found in the first row of the table. Lookup value can be a value, a reference, or a text string. Okay, so this is very important. Um, I don't think so, Kim. But of course, you can go through different sheets and take a look at them. But the way that I have it consistently is that the functions that we're going to use is in that section of the Excel sheet. So you can just go through all the sheets and then take a look at the function that I wrote down at the top. I consistently put this at the very top so that you can retrieve it later if you like. Okay, Kim? No problem. All right, guys, let's move on. I have some dynamic lookups for you as well. So index and match. Okay. Um, so index returns a value at a given position in a range. Okay. Um, and match returns the position of a value in a range. Okay. So I use match to find the row number of a specific ID. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's just do match. Okay, so use match to find the row number of a specific ID. Okay, so what I can do is to just simply say match, lookup value. Okay, I want 102. So I can just say 102, or I can select them. Lookup array is I can just do that. I want exact match. So it just tell me that it's the second item. Okay. So within that array, 102 is the second entry. Okay. So that gives me back my the second one. So it essentially tells me where that is. I just bear with me. You will see the actual application of it in like 2 minutes. Okay. So let's just go with index. Let's just go with index. Okay. So index. What about index? Use index to return the name or score at the given row. All right. Okay. So index. Let's say this B10 to B12. And I want, and it says for the row number, I want the second row. I want Bob. And that's pretty much it. I can get Bob. Okay. So, so I can essentially, with an index, I can grab the person. Okay. Now I can just make this like that. Okay. And I can just simply say I want second row. And then I have to say a second column for Bob. Okay. What happens if you don't do that? It gives you an error because it says, hey, for second row in the range that you are giving me, I have ID of 102, I have a score of 90, and I have the name of Bob. Which one would you like? If you're not telling it, it will give you back an error. So if you're not telling it what you need, it will give you an error. But if you say the second one, it will give you Bob. Now, why index? Why when we said why when we did this, right? And then I just said 2, it didn't give me an error when I hit enter, even though I didn't put the column number.
Because it's only one row, one set of rows, only one.
Because it's just one column, right? That's me. So it's just one column, so I don't have to give it. So that's why it's giving me Bob back. Okay. Perfect. Now let's. I'm sure this is very boring, right? So this is not something that's that interesting. But what we can do is we can do something interesting. So combine index and match to search by ID and return the corresponding name. So can you guys combine the two so that um, you are actually returning the corresponding name by index and match. Okay, so that's a challenge for you guys. I'll just give you a minute so you guys will be able to hopefully do this quickly for me. All right, so do a match, do an index, and then do the combination of both of them. Of course, this is match. This is index. This is match. Okay, who did it? No problem at all. Make sure that you, if you have any feedback, make sure that you fill up the survey. Um, no problem at all. Here's the link for everybody for the survey. Okay. Um, who is done? Of course, I can do match again. So match, let's say I'm looking for match. Um, and then match, I want to match 102. And then my lookup array is between A10 and A12. And that's pretty much it. So I can do that again. I can do match. Lookup value, I want 106. a lookup array is going to be, for example, this. And then match type, I want exact. So it would be the third one. So 1, 2, 3. All right. Kim is done. Okay. Who is done with the last one? Combining match and index. I'll give you 1 more minute. Has to be specific. I do not know what you mean by specific. Um, yeah, try with another one, see what happens. Okay. So let's go over something a tiny bit involved, just a tiny bit. So I want, for example, I want to go through values. So and then return some corresponding name. Okay, so let's just go for index. So index is looking for an array, right? So I can just go to, I'm looking for these arrays, okay? Now, what I want is I want Bob to be returned to me, okay? Now, I want to simply say for my row number, I want to use match for the row number because essentially match, as you remember, and it's right there, you can see it. Match is essentially returning the index where something has been found, right? So I can just simply say match here, okay? And the lookup value is 102 because I'm looking for Bob, for example, right? So I am looking for 102. Essentially, I am going through all this lookup and I want the exact match. Okay. I'm closing that parentheses, I'm closing that parentheses, and I hit enter. So I'm getting Bob back. Okay, so the only twisted part here is that instead of me giving it the exact row, because I have like a million rows, for example, like I have 100, like 1,000 rows. I don't know which row it is, right? I just know that Bob's um, ID is 102, for example. All right. So for providing it the row, I am just using match. So instead of I'm just simply saying a row number 2, which is Bob, I don't know what row he's at because I have so many rows, for example. So I'm just going to use a match that grabs the number, grabs the row number where the ID is 102, and that return Bob. Is that clear to everyone? So this is to combine index and match. Okay. Okay. I want you guys to spend 1 more minute to do give me back give me back give me back Frank. Okay. Um give me back. I want the name of the person who has the ID of 106, essentially, which is Frank. Again, I want I want the name. I want the name of the person who with ID 106. For the sake of completeness, I'm just going to run an index here as well. So index um, say from this one, I want let's say row number 1. That's done. Okay. Who is done with I want the name of the person? Could you please explain the combo? Okay. So even is saying that Kim, what's your solution? Okay, I'm just going to paste evens. Okay, so I'm just pasting that. I'm sorry, I didn't paste it correctly. Just give me one moment second. Let me paste what even mentioned. Okay, for whatever reason, chat doesn't give me copy capability. So I'm just typing in what even mentioned here. So 106, A16, A18, 0. Even did it perfectly. Okay, so let's go through what even did. Okay, so first off, even is interested about this array, right? So about names, because I asked even that, hey, I want the name of the person. So even is saying that, okay, I'm going to select B16 to B18, which is these are the ones that returns name for me. That's perfect. Now, even requires a row number and doesn't require actually a column number because it's just the one column that he's selecting. So even is like, hey, I can just simply, because this is so small, I can see that I can just see that 106 is in the third row. So I'm giving you Frank back. But I told even that, hey, imagine that this is like a 1,000 row. You cannot like start counting from the top which row is 106. How could you do it more elegantly? So he said, okay, why can't I just do this? Why can't I just look for the row number that has the ID of 106? Good job, even. Fitz came up with exact same thing. And Kim came up with the exact same thing too. So good job, people. Any questions? No. Perfect. All right. Instead of the number 106, I just selected and I could put A18 just faster. Oh, absolutely. Um, here's one thing, Kim. I told you it's 106, and um, if you have 1,000 rows, you cannot just go find it, right? Even like if it's 100 rows, you cannot go find it. Perfect, perfect. But it's totally fine. Sometimes you can do it that way, so it's totally fine to do it that way too, because sometimes, maybe it's a different application. But if you have many rows, then most likely you cannot see it. If you could see it, you could just see it. You didn't have to write a program or like a functions to do it. JBit mentioned that. Okay, so yeah, so JBit, this is not very straightforward. So this is combination of two functions. So what I'm suggesting is that you make sure that you understand match, then you understand index, and then essentially this is the combination of both of them. So just to go over it one last time, index is receiving an array. This is going to be the array that it's going to start looking into. The array could be one-dimensional or it could be two-dimensional, meaning that it could have rows and columns. All right. So this index is looking into this matrix that you're giving it. And it simply says, hey, give me the row number and give me the column number, and I look up that value for you. So that's what index does. So give me some numbers. I give you some numbers. I give you look for the second row, okay, and let's say third row, third column, and then it will bring me back the number. Awesome. So index, we gave it the information, okay. So look in this name column, okay? Look into that. Okay. The index function is telling us, hey, please tell me what row should I look at? Should I look at the first row, second row, or third row? And we simply said, okay, we know that the row number that we are interested in has 106 in it. So why don't you go ahead and look for a row that has 106 in it, and then return back the row number for us. So this is essentially just that. But as we kept saying, this is pretty hard to do when you have hundreds of rows. That's why we are giving this task of understanding which row it is in. We are giving that responsibility to match so that it will give us back the answer. Is that clear now? You just need to play with it a tiny bit. Good job, David. All right. Let's move on to pivot tables. Okay, so this is extremely, guys, this is extremely useful when you wanted to just have fun and look at the summary of your data. Okay, so why don't you go to insert and we want to go to pivot table. And we want to go to pivot table, and it says a table or range. So I want this table. Okay, so that's it. Okay, and guess what? It just picks up that because I clicked on there. So it's going to create that there. Okay, so you're going to see what that does. So guys, look at this. I have region and I have product and I have sales. Okay. Now, what I want to do is to just summarize all my regions and sales for those regions. So I don't want north, south, north, south. I want just north and a combination of all the sales. And I want south and combination of all the sales in the south. Okay. So what I want to do is I can just fill in these four areas. So let's take a look at it. For the rows, I said I want a region. So I'm going to put it into the rows. All of a sudden, you can see that this table is being populated here, which means that right now we have just north and south. We don't have north, south, north, south, north, south, and all of that, okay? So it summarizes my regions to just north and south. Now, I want my values to be sales because I want it to combine, let's say, the north with the north and south with the south. So what can I do? I can drag the cells and I bring it to values. Voila. No calculations, no formulas, no nothing. It's just, it beautifully put, it summarized my table. Now, of course, you don't see the beauty here because it's just like 4 rows, but imagine that you have 100 rows. Imagine that you have 200 rows. With just 2 drags, you summarized your entire table, okay? No formula, okay? So essentially this one, north, it combines this one and this one. And then south, it combines this guy and this guy. So this guy and this guy, okay? Now, this thing went away, okay? So I can click on it for it to come back. Now, what if, guys, I want to know that sum of sales, but I want to filter out based on product, okay? So I can just bring product, okay? And I put it into filter, and it's right now says North has a total sales of 2,700. Okay. What if I say I am interested in North, but I am interested in product A of North. So I can just simply say click product A and I hit OK. So in the North, so we have product A and it's just 1,200. So see, it changes to 1,200. And in South, product A is only has sold for only $800. So that's why it filtered out this way. I can essentially go back to all and it shows all, but I can just pick B as well, and then it just summarizes for B. So do you guys appreciate how easy it is to summarize a gigantic table? Is that clear? What's the purpose of this pivot table? Awesome. Of course. Let's just delete everything. All right. So we go to Insert, Pivot Table. And then it says Table Range. So you click on this. And then you click on your table range. And then you hit OK. And then it makes your table here. And then if you don't like it, you pay attention to where you click before you hit insert pivot table. So I can click here or maybe here and then insert pivot table, table range, this, that. Okay. So it puts it up beautifully there. I want a region to be the row. I want product. I want product to be as a filter. I want sales to be the values. Okay. And guys, sky's the limit here, right? So I can just simply say, no, I don't want the filter. I want it as a column. So take a look at how good looking this is. So instead of it being in the a filter, right now I'm using it as a column. So it not only summarized north and south for me, but also it summarized the columns for me as well. All right. Why don't you do this quickly for this one? Very nice. So what you can do is to make sure that you are putting it in the right spots. Secretion. Double check. All right. Good job. Good job. So let's just do it again. Pivot table. Um, that you can actually do it this way too. Okay. And then do different things. So maybe I can just want based on products. I want sales of it to be in the values. So that's another way of doing it. Or it just depends on what do you like to see. There's many different ways to do it. Okay. So is everybody's okay? Everybody's okay? Awesome. All right. So let's just do this. This is, as I mentioned in the very beginning, we surveyed a lot of professors to make sure that we cover everything that, or at least most of the things that you would need for Excel. And then a professor mentioned about InDesign and then how you need to sometimes import some of these image path from Excel. So this is a very short, very simple thing that I wanted to show you. Let's say you do have a lot of these file names. And then if, for example, InDesign needs absolute path, meaning that it doesn't want relative path. It wants to see exactly where your photos are with the complete path, not relative path. So starting with C or D or wherever you're storing your photos in. Okay. So um, so what you can do this dynamically using one of the techniques I taught you guys yesterday. So essentially what happens here is that I can just simply say, all of my photos are in C users and photos. And do you guys remember what and would do? This thing. Anybody remembers what and does? Essentially adds combining two stuff. Very nice. Fitz, Jackie, Kim. Right on. Awesome work. So yeah, and it just does the concatenation. So it just adds things in a very native way. So I can just simply say, would you please combine? Would you please combine this and this for me? Okay. Would you please add this a path with A9 for me? So this way you can actually create a dynamic address of all your files. Okay, I'm sure when you get to it, it makes more sense because you need to import it to InDesign. But this is a way for you to just combine stuff, as Jackie mentioned. Can you do this quickly in like 30 seconds? Okay. Anybody's done with this? Okay, awesome. So, like, imagine that you have like 1,000 images, and then you want the absolute path for all those 1,000 images. You can just do this very quickly. I'm sure when you get to use InDesign, you would appreciate how this just saves a bit of your time. Of course, I can do it again. So here, what's happening is that my photos are in this. My photos are in this directory. Okay. And by the way, you notice me every time you're talking, you want a text to be inserted. You most of the time in Excel, you're putting it into quotes. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you because it doesn't recognize that as string. Okay. So all of my photos are in there, but I want the absolute path to that. So I want C user photos and then Carol.jpg, Dan.jpg, and then Dan or Eve.jpg. So I can just and that, and we covered what and does, and just concatenates two things. So I will just do that, and then I select all of the rows and then do Control D, and it will update for me. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Let's do quickly named ranges. That is, this is going to be cool for you guys. Let's take a look. Guys, imagine that you have a lot of work on a specific range of data. Excel is allowing you to name the ranges that you have. Okay, so the simplest way of doing it is just pay close attention. I want to do 1,000 things to this. Okay, so I don't want to select it every single time. So I can name it. I can name it Hamid, for example. Okay, so I select everything, and then guess what? I come here and I say this is Hamid. Okay. And then from this point on, I can just say sum of Hamid. I can say um, um, median of Hamid. I can say average of Hamid. Okay. So this is a very cool, simple way to do it. And if you are wondering where is that being stored, um, it's actually in formulas. And then in the name manager, I actually can see that I have created this value. So I can edit that, and then I can edit it here. Okay. One last thing that I want to mention is offset. So I'll just give you some time to do it for this. You don't need to name it your own name. You can name it something that is descriptive of what this does. So for example, here is like a value list. I can just call it value. I can just call it value list. Okay. And then here I can just simply say sum of value value list. Okay. or average of value list. Value list. Perfect. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. Last thing that I want to leave you with is offset. And offset does something very interesting. So I can just use offset and have a reference point. Okay. Let's say I want offset 100. Offset is just, moving away from a set reference. Okay. So I want to be at 100. I want to come down one row, or actually, I want to stay at where I am. I am at 100, and I want a height of 3, for example, and then the width of 1. So what it means is that stay at 100, stay at 100, and then by 0, 0 means that you're staying at 100. And then height means how much would you like me to select? If you select 3, it selects 100, 25, and 25. And if you say, and then width of it would be 1 because you are not moving away. So that way, it's essentially helping you figure out like essentially pick the entire column. Okay. That's that. Now, I'm sure you can take a look at this, but there is a way that you can uh, essentially have this in a dynamic way. And I will just leave it up to you to come up with this or apply this offset to make this dynamic. We've gone 4 minutes over time. I wanted to thank all of you who attended this session. I would really appreciate it if you go ahead, because we're going to run these sessions. So if there's any weaknesses, any strength, please let us know so that later on, me or anybody else from the Math Center who is covering these workshops could benefit from your feedback and make it worthwhile your time. That's the main aim. With that, if there are no more questions, I want to say have a great rest of the week and enjoy working with Excel. Take care.
Have a great day, sir.
Take care.
Have a great
I'm
day.
glad. Thank you.
Thank you. This
You too.
case was really informative.
Awesome, Sakrish. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye. No problem, Alex. Bye-bye, Ashley. Awesome. Nabil, have a great day. Thank you for joining. You too. Bye, everyone.